Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is working with automated and also manually presented presentations. Usually, most people, when they put together a presentation, they're planning on being there in person, presenting it, clicking the mouse, going to each one of the slides, talking, and so forth, right? Now, what you can also do, though, is you can actually create an automated presentation instead, where it will run by itself from slide to slide to slide. And while it's doing that, all the transitions are appearing there, all the animation is going on, all the stuff that you do, that we talked about in the past couple of videos there, but also rely on the timings. In other words, obviously, if this is going to be self-running, you have to make sure that the slides automatically progress from one to the next and the next and the next. And you also have to figure out how much time you want to spend on there. So if your presentation is just going to be one where there's not going to be any kind of audio, it's more the slide comes up, the first slide comes up, your audience is looking at that, and then they wait a little bit, and then the next slide comes up, they read whatever's on that slide, they go on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. That's fine. So all that you'd have to do is figure out how much time you want to allot to each one of those slides before it moves on and transitions into the next slide. Now, we have a really good tool that will make that very, very easy to do. Now, we'll be doing that. And then there's another tool that we have that will also rehearse the the timings and put the timings in there for us. But it'll also add audio. In other words, you talking, you speaking during this process, whatever you talk about when a slide is on displayed, that will be then played back when you run that presentation automatically. So and that's what we call recording the slideshow. So we're gonna do two things. We're gonna do the rehearse timings, and then we're gonna do this one here. Okay, and you can kind of see the difference. But the big thing is, you would do this one if all you wanted to do is just figure out how much time to allot to each slide before it transitions to the next one. So they don't hear anything other than, or they won't hear anything at all. But at the same time, if you want to get those timings in there and have your voice talking on each one of these slides, then you'd use this one here. And then once you got that all set up, when you go ahead and start your presentation from the beginning, it'll play the narrations. In other words, it'll play the voice that was on each of the slides, and it will also adhere to the timings, how much time is spent on each one of those slides. All right. Now, if at some point you decide for that particular presentation that you want to run it manually, in other words, you're going to sit there and go from slide to slide, then what you would do is you would still start the presentation this way, but you would get rid of the play narrations and you'd get rid of the use timings, right? Because you're going to be the one talking, you're going to be the one that's advancing the slides. So let's start with the first one, where we're just going to get the timings in there automatically. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go here to slideshow, and we're going to go here to rehearse timings. You click onto that. Immediately this comes up. You can see up in the corner here how much time has advanced. All right, now you're sitting there talking or kind of thinking to yourself, okay, have they had enough time to see this? I think so. Okay, so now what happens, I'll click my mouse one time, it goes to the next slide. So it shows me now how much time I'm going to spend on this slide, and this is the total time over here, right? So you're thinking to yourself, or maybe even reading to yourself the way that you think your audience would be doing it, and they'd be saying, okay, mission statement, clearly state blah, blah, blah. Try to use words, and then after you get done reading it, maybe you'll give it a few more seconds just for anybody that might be a slow reader or whatever. And then when you're ready to go to the next slide, you click it. All right, now we're a total of 47 seconds. We're 2 seconds into this slide, right? So blah, 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 blah. You're talking and talking, right? And then we'll click it again, okay? Blah, 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 blah. You're talking, whatever, or not talking, but you're just kind of talking to yourself. You can talk out loud if you wanted to, but that's not getting recorded. It's the amount of time that you're spending on the slide. So I go to the next one, da-da-da-da. Okay, fine, I'll click it here. Da-da-da. We're on the 6th slide here, as you can see. We got that. That's great. Okay, da-da. And you read the next one. I'm just doing this kind of fast so we don't have to spend, half the day looking at this. Okay, so far we're up to almost a minute and a half, and we're 7 or 8 seconds into this slide. Now there's the next slide. Now we're on slide number 10. Da-da-da-da-da. Slide number 11. There we are. And then finally we get to slide number 12. Ta-da. And then you're saying, okay, I think they've seen it all. Click it again. We have an empty slide there, whatever. Click it again, and that's it. So we're done. Now it says the total time for your slideshow is almost 2 minutes. Do you want to save those new timings? And of course we do. Now if we say yes to that, all right, what happens then, I'll go back into our transition tab here. As you can see now, for this first slide, it shows that it will automatically advance after 17.72 seconds, right? So the first slide comes up when you do the presentation. It stays on there for almost 18 seconds, and then it automatically advances to the next slide. On this next slide, we have 27 seconds. I kind of talked too long there. Anyway, there's your third slide, 10 seconds. See up there, right? There's our next one, 11 seconds, next one, and on until we get down to the very bottom one. There was 4 seconds, right? And that's it, all right? So now, when you go to run a presentation, let me just show you this. I'll go ahead. I can actually just go back to the first slide here. I can either hit my slideshow down here, or I'll just go back over here to slideshow from the beginning. Now I click onto that. There's my first slide. Of course, this is what the audience is seeing. And over here, let me just get that back here so you can see it. Over here is my dashboard, right? But that's it. Now, wait for it to go here. There it goes. There's the second one there. I won't spend too long. I'll just let you see a couple slides here. And I'm not doing anything on the keyboard or the mouse. It's all by itself now. So in a few seconds here more, hopefully, it will switch over. Almost. We're almost there. It'll happen. I know it. It'll make that transition over. There it goes. All right. So there's that one, and then it just keeps on going. I'm going to go ahead and escape out of here. Just wanted to show you how that was going to carry out. All right, so there you go. All right. Now, as I said before, if later on with this particular presentation, you want to present it manually, then what you'll do is you'll tell it not to use the timing. See, so you turn that off, start your presentation, and it's not going to advance to the next slide until you actually click your mouse or click on that arrow that you saw earlier on the dashboard. All right, now the other option we have, as I was saying before, is to do the record slideshow. Now what this one does is it will do the same thing this one does, so it'll be overriding what this one did, but it will also record, if you've got a microphone, it'll record your voice as you're on each of those slides. So each slide that you go to, as you're talking, it's going to create a sound file that will be embedded into that slide, and it will automatically play for each of the slides that you go to when you're doing your presentation. It's very, very cool. One thing that you want to kind of watch out for when you're doing this is that when you are on the first slide and you're talking and you're now ready to go to the next slide, make sure you get to the next slide before you talk, because if you start talking before you advance to the next slide, you're going to end up kind of getting cut off, in the process of later on when you're presenting. So I'll remind you when we do this. So here's what we do. We go ahead and we say, okay, we go here to record slideshow. Oh, and by the way, too, I don't think this will matter, but I'm going to turn this back on here. Okay, so anyway, so we go ahead and we click on to that. We tell it to record from the current slide, or we can say from the beginning. Well, in this case, I'm on slide number 3. I think I'll just save some time and just tell it that I want to do it from the beginning. So I'll go ahead and click onto that. Now what happens is, let me just go and bring this over here. I'm going to get this coming up here, okay? And it basically, I'm ready to start recording. So what I'll do here is it's already kind of keeping track of the time and everything, so, or it's going to be tracking time. So what I'll do while I'm on this one here, I'll tell it that I want to record, right? So I click on the record, all right? It gives me a little countdown. You don't see it. But now we're ready to rock and roll here. So now I'm looking at the first slide here, business plan. Let me just kind of bring this over. So this is what I'm seeing here. And what I'm going to do is I'll hit that right arrow that you see on the right-hand side there, this thing right here, to advance to the next slide when I'm eventually ready to do that. So I get done, talking here on this slide. Now, I've advanced to the second slide. Now here I am talking on the second slide. Da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to make this fast as well, just so that you can see this. I think you get the idea. So now I go to the next one, da-da-da-da-da-da, and so forth and so forth. And then I go to the next one. There we go. I can even go as far as doing inkings on here, okay? So I don't know if you can see this, but there's we got this coloring down here, and I can do inking on there. So what I can actually do is get myself, pick a color here, and I can actually do this kind of stuff while I'm doing the presentation, right? While I'm recording this. So that's going to get recorded in there, right? So then I get done with that slide. Now I'm ready to do the next one. I'm ready to do the next one. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm about 2 minutes into it now. There's my next one, all right? And I'm talking away here. And I go to my next one, I'm talking. Next one, I'm talking. Slide number 10, da-da-da-da-da-da. Slide number 11. Slide number 12. Slide number 13. And then when I get to the very end here, now it stops. And then I'm just going to click my mouse one more time there. That takes me out. All right, so now we're going to work with the record slide show, which means we're going to rehearse, or we're going to put new timings in, and we're also going to be able to record our voice as we speak on a particular slide. It'll insert a sound file right in there. It will play automatically later on when you go to run the slideshow. So to set this in motion, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the slideshow tab. Here's your record slideshow. We click onto that, all right? And I would tell you, just for good measure here, go down to clear and tell it that you want to clear the timings on all slides, and just kind of click onto that. That just gets rid of everything, clears it all out, okay? And then you go back in there again and you say, okay, now I want to record from the current slide or from the beginning. Either case, it's going to be the same thing. But if it happened to be that you're already on slide number 4, then you'd probably still want to tell it that you want to record from the beginning, right? So we would click onto that, right? It brings you to this screen here. Now, let me show you what you're going to see. This is what you're going to see on your screen, okay, is this, okay? And this is that dashboard that we saw earlier in the last video. And so what you want to make sure of, it's up to you, that it kind of defaults to showing if you've got a camera, it'll actually record you, using the camera that's on your PC, and it will kind of show it up in the corner here, and that will be recorded into the video. And I guess that's so that, when you do run this automatically, people that are watching the presentation run automatically, they can actually see you down there talking. So they feel like they're interfacing with somebody, right? I don't like it. So what I would do is I would just say turn the camera off, right? But you definitely want to leave the microphone on, obviously, because we want to record your sound. So now when you're ready to launch, all we have to do is you go up to the top here, you click on the record, start recording, and off it goes. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, we're on slide number 1. I'm talking, blah, 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 blah. So what I'm saying right now is being recorded. Okay, now I'm ready to go to the next slide. I click on the advance here, goes to the next slide. As you can see here, we're at 13, 14 seconds into it, 4 seconds into this particular slide, blah, 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 blah. And when you're all done with that, we advance to the next one here now. there we are talking away, blah, blah, blah. And you just keep on going like this. There's the next one, all right? Now, I'm going to show you a little thing here. What you can also do is you can actually use your little inks down here to click onto a color, and actually as you're doing your presentation, kind of show this, all right? Pretty cool. Then go to your next slide. You can go over here and you can kind of do your little circles there or whatever. Put a little X, so, you know, circles, lines, whatever in here. Go to the next one. You're still talking. So it's recording that part, and it's recording your, you know, you're doing what you're doing here, all right? On and on. So now we'll go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. I'm just going to go back with this pretty fast. I think you all get the idea. Blah, blah, blah. Now we're on slide number 9. Da, 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 da. Slide number 10, we're talking. Slide number 11, we're talking. Slide number 12, we're talking. Slide number 13, we're talking. Okay, now we're up to about 1.5 minutes here. So now I hit the button again. And now I'm done. Click that into slideshow. And that's it. Now, as you can see here, if I go back to my transitions, oh, no, I'm sorry, my animations, no, transitions, sorry about that. You can see on each of the slides, 2 seconds on that one. I'm sorry, sorry about that. 10 seconds on this one, 10 on that one, 7 on that one, and so on and so forth. So the timings are all in there. This little icon down here is the actual sound file that got recorded. Pretty good. Now, if it bothers you to have that icon down there, because what's going to happen when you go to present this later on, you're going to see that kind of thing. If that is going to bother you, don't worry about it, because that thing's going to be invisible. All right, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so let's see what this thing sounds like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll go back over to my slideshow here from beginning. Now, understand, I'm not going to do anything other than play this. I'm not going to click my mouse or anything. So I'll click on to from beginning. Okay, we're on slide number 1. I'm talking, blah, 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 blah.
That's
so
me talking, right?
Now is being recorded. Okay, now I'm ready to go to the next slide. I click on the advanced here. Go to the next slide. As you can see here, we're at 13, 14 seconds into it, 4 seconds into this particular slide. Blah, 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 blah. And when you're all done with that, we advance to the next one here now. There we are talking away, blah, blah, blah. And you just keep on going like this. There's the next one, all right? Now, I'm going to show you a little.
All right, that's me talking in the video, you guys. So, or in the slides here. So,
here to click onto a color, and actually, as you're doing your presentation, kind of show this. All right, pretty cool.
How about that, huh?
Then go to the next slide. You can go over here and you can kind of do your little circle.
So there you go. That's pretty cool stuff there.
So, you know,
all right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to escape out. Next. Boom, I'm out of there. Okay, so there we go. So that's it. So pretty easy to do. So keep in mind that if you do set up something like this, later on when you go to actually run the show automatically, just make sure you go to slideshow and make sure the narrations are checked off, make sure the timings are set, and it's ready to go. And if you're going to be running this slideshow manually, where you're going to be sitting there yourself and actually presenting it live, then just make sure you turn off the narrations and turn off the timings, and then you'll just be clicking your mouse to advance to each slide. So, but you'll see that in a later video. We'll talk all about that, but that's it. So I appreciate you watching the video. Hope you liked it. Take care.